This is the Module 4 Topic E review. So the first thing says to solve by drawing a rectangular fraction model and write a number sentence to show your thinking. So I'm going to start by drawing my rectangular fraction model. So I'm going to draw my rectangle, and I'm going to split it into 6 because it tells me to right here. And I'm going to shade in one of the sixths. And then I'm going to split it in 6 in the opposite direction because it tells me to right here. And I'm going to shade in one of the sixths going in this direction. And I'm going to then look at how many pieces are double shaded, and I see that one piece right here is double shaded red and purple. So 1 out of all of the squares that are there, which is 36, 1 out of 36 is double shaded. And if I multiply straight across, 1 times 1 is 1. And then I see right here that 6 times 6 is 36. And so my answers match. So that's my number sentence, and it's my rectangular fraction model drawing. Second question, I'm going to start by circling and underlining. I have Miss Collins, and she cuts 1/3 a piece of construction paper, so I'm going to draw that construction paper. She cuts 1/3, so I'm going to color that in, what she cuts, and I'm going to write that over here. And then it tells me she uses 1/6 of the piece to make a flower. So I'm going to slice this into sixths. And I'm going to shade in 1/6. So I'm finding 1/6 of 1/3. And I look at how much is double shaded, and it's just this section right here, which is 1 out of 18. And I can check by multiplying straight across. 1 times 1 is 1, and 6 times 3 is 18. And then I would write an answer that 1/18 of the sheet of paper makes a flower. Because we need to make sure that we write a sentence. Next question, it says to solve and draw a rectangular fraction model to explain your thinking and then write a number sentence. So I need both a number sentence and the rectangular fraction model again. So here we are. We're going to start with the second number first, I always say, because we're finding something of something. So we're going to make our 4/8. And we're going to shade in 4 of our eighths. And then we're going to go in the opposite direction and find 1/4 of, which means to multiply as a reminder. So we're going to split it into fourths in the opposite direction. And we want 1/4 of it. And we want to figure out how many are double shaded. Double shaded, we see that section right here that has blue and black on it. And we know that that's 4 out of 32 total pieces. And up here, if I multiply 1 times 4, so I'm going to write this out, 1/4, because that's my number sentence, times 4/8 equals 4 over 32. And we know we always have to simplify. So right away I look at this and I know that 4 can go into 4 one time, and 4 can go into 32 8 times. So my answer would be 1/8. Now we have in a box of candy, 1/2 of the candies are caramel. So I'm going to draw my box of candy, split it in half, and I'm going to write that this is caramel. I just put a big C. And then it says 1/4 of the rest. So this was the rest over here, the R, our peanut. So we're going to slice this into fourths because it's talking about fourths. And we're going to shade it all in, 1/4 of it. So we're talking about this piece right here, 1/4 of the rest, our peanut. What fraction is peanut? And we see that one piece here, so we know it's 1 out of 8. Or we could have said we have 1/2, and we're finding 1/4 of 1/2, and that would be 1/8. And then we need a sentence that says 1/8 of the candies are peanut. Okay, our next question says to multiply and model. We're going to take this part out of your test or your quiz so you can get rid of the modeling here. I'm just going to cross it out and rewrite each expression as a number sentence with decimal factors. I'm going to require that you do it with decimals and with fractions. So what we're going to do right down here is first we're going to write this as fractions, which would be 1/10 times, that shows 1 6/10. So step 1 would be to rewrite it just as is, 1/10, and turn this into an improper fraction because we can't leave it like that, which would make 16/10. And that we would then multiply straight across. So 1 times 16 is 16, and 10 times 10 is 100. And in this case, we don't need to simplify because we're using it for decimals. So I can just take this number right here, 16/100ths, and I can convert that into 16/100ths as a decimal. Or if I wasn't sure, I can start by doing 1/10 times 1 6/10. And when I multiply, I get 16. And I have to jump once, and I have to jump twice. So I know that I have to jump once and jump twice, and my decimal's there. So right now I have solved it with both the decimal and the fraction. Next question, I want to be able to show these with both the decimal and the fraction. So I'm going to start by doing my fraction. By doing my fraction, I'm doing 1 3/10 times 4, the whole number, and when I have a whole number, it's over 1. So then I'm going to convert this right here into an improper fraction like we had said before, and that would give me 13/10. And 13/10 times 4 over 1, we multiply straight across. And when we multiply straight across, we would get 52/10, and I can leave it that way. And when I write 52/10, I get to leave that. I can turn that right into a decimal if I wanted to, because this is the tenths place, so that's 52/10. Otherwise, I can write it all out as decimals. And if I do it all out as decimals, I write 1 3/10 times 4, and I multiply. And I have one jump, so I make one jump. Next question, same way, I can write it as 1 3/10 times 4/10, which would be 13/10 times 4/10, which would give me 52. This time it would be over 100 because 10 times 10 is 100. I can then write it as a decimal because this is the hundredths place, that says 52/100ths, or I could rewrite it and solve it as a decimal problem. And I know that I made 2 jumps, so I have to jump 1 2 times, and that's 52/100ths. And the last one, this would be right here, would be 13/100ths. That's how I say that, times 4/10. And this time I don't need to change anything into an improper fraction. And when I multiply, I get 52 thousandths. And when I get 52 thousandths, I know that that's tenths, hundredths, thousandths. I need to end in the thousandths place, so I need a placeholder there, and I need a 0. Otherwise, if I wanted, I can multiply it as a decimal. I don't have to line them up. So I can just start multiplying, and I get 52 again. And I see that I need 1, 2, 3 jumps. So I jump 1, 2, 3 times. And in order to jump 3 times, I need to put a 0 in there. In all these cases, my fraction answer matches my decimal answer. Next, it says to multiply to solve all 4 problems. Do at least one problem using decimal form and one problem using fraction form. Once again, I'm going to require you to solve them both ways. So here's 4 2/10 times 1 6/10. And I have to convert these into improper fractions to make them easier to work with. And it might be easier on the side to multiply 42 times 16 to help myself out. So I end up with 672 over 100. I can convert that into decimal form. 672 hundredths, because this is the hundredths place. The other option is to take this and to multiply it. And you see this work from up above. It's going to be the same work down here. That would be your final answer. You just need to know that you jumped once, jumped twice. So you jump 1, 2 times, and you get the same answer. So we go over here. We have 1 4/10 times 8/10. And that brings us to 14/10 because we have to make it into an improper fraction times 8/10. If I need to do the math on the side, I can. And I end up with 112 hundredths. I can rewrite that as a decimal. We know this is the hundredths place right here, so it has to end there. So there's my answer. Or I can use my work from before and make sure the decimals were in there and see that I do 1, 2 jumps. So it's 1, 2 jumps, and it would be right there. Last 2 on this section is 3 4 hundredths times 5 2/10. We convert these into improper fractions. In order to help ourselves, we're going to do some multiplication down here. And we end up with 15,808 thousandths. So we have more than one way that we can do this. What we can do is we can say that we can take the number right here, just write it out. And I know that thousandths has to end where we are, so this would be thousandths, hundredths, tenths, so the decimal has to go right here. Or I can put the decimals into the work that I did right here, and I can count 1, 2, 3 jumps, so 1, 2, 3 jumps. Now we have 3 2/10 over here, times 52 hundredths. We have to convert it to an improper fraction, which gives us 32 tenths times 52 hundredths. And just like before, we're going to do the math over here to help us. So we have the 32 times 52. And when we add that up, we get 1,664. So it's over here, and it's 1,664. over 1,000. So we have tenths, hundredths, thousands we have to end in. We know that. That 4 has to go in the thousands place. We work backwards. And there's our decimal. Or we can take our decimals and put them into the original problem we were working with over here. And we can count 1, 2, 3 jumps. So 1, 2, 3 jumps. And that is your review for the topic E quiz.